Welcome, dear listeners and viewers, to another episode of Ally Techies. You know that this is a space where we discuss the latest updates when it comes to inclusive technology for blind and partially sighted people. We discuss all the discussions that are currently being developed to make our communities' lives more accessible and more inclusive. Today, we will travel to Serbia and we will speak to our friend Mihajlo Kovačević from the BLAIND Project. Hello, Mihajlo. How are you doing?
Hello, thank you for inviting me. I'm doing well. How about you?
It's great. It's great. It's great. I'm doing fine, and I'm very pleased that we're having you today. I would like to know more about the project's background, the BLAIND Project. You actually started a collaboration with our Serbian member, the Union of the Blind of Serbia. What particular obstacle for visually impaired people in your country made this cooperation a reality?
Yeah, so we started off with discovering the problem. That's how everything started. And we discovered the problem that voting in privacy in Serbia, maybe around the world also, is a big problem for the blind and visually impaired. And from that moment, we started thinking of possible solutions of how to use the current AI technology to solve it. And that's how the whole project got started. And also in the meantime, we wanted to reassure ourselves of the problem. And that's why we reached out to the Blind Union of Serbia, who was very, very happy to help us. And in the end, we made a partnership together to start working on this problem and to solve it.
Now that we know more about your objectives, resolving privacy issue when voting and going through physical documents, I would like you to give us more details about your device, which, by the way, works with audio navigation. What element makes it different from other solutions in the market? How can it help improve visually impaired people's interaction with physical documents?
Yeah, so other solutions on the market tend to solve the initial interaction with the document. So what they solve is maybe for a person to know what's on the document. But what we actually do is we enable the blind person to actually interact with the document, sign it, vote, or fill it out. And that's something that none other solution currently on the market has. And that's something we are developing, of course, using AI technologies and some audio navigation principles in order to solve that problem.
Although the project is in its early stages, you already had the opportunity to carry out some tests with blind and partially sighted people in your country. What were your main findings? Is there any specific feedback that you have received after that?
Yeah, we received a lot of feedback, and it was super valuable for us to get their perspective, as they will be the user of the device. One of the most interesting things is what we found out is that one out of the 20 people we interviewed had a situation where they voted and they asked the person next to them to suggest to tell them. So they wanted to vote for example, number one. They asked the person next to them, okay, can you circle for me number one? And then later they found out that the person next to them actually circled, for example, number three, because it was their cousin or something like that. And that's a big problem. And the problem is why they have to rely on the people around them, or if they need assistance, they need to plan it in advance. And that's what we found out, that it's a really, really big problem for the blind community when it comes to handling any kind of a physical document in our typical lives. So and from there we started on initially as a mobile app. That was the idea, to use all that AI software in a mobile app. Then we transitioned to a device, so it's more stable and easy to use than a mobile app.
Your solution makes part of the wide range of artificial intelligence alternatives that are starting to appear since the increasing presence of AI in our daily lives. What's the state of the matter of AI in the domain of solutions for blind and partially sighted people in Serbia? Have you found any synergies with similar projects?
Yeah, there are a few startups here in Serbia working on not the same problem, but the same ideas, meaning trying to help the blind community become more independent and blind people becoming more independent. So we definitely share with each other and communicate with each other about the possible, tips that could help us out. So maybe they learned from something from their experience, they can tell us, we can tell them what we learned. And that's the synergy we have as typical small startups trying to help each other, grow.
As we already spoke a few moments ago, you had the chance to start developing BLAIND with the help of the community with visual impairment in Serbia. Have national authorities expressed interest in the project? Were you able to be in touch with politicians and tell them more about the initiative?
Yeah, we were able to open talks and possible negotiations with the government of Serbia and the voting institution here in Serbia. And they expressed high interest because they see how big of a problem that is on a national level when it comes to elections. And they definitely expressed interest and are exploring ways for us to work together to solve this big problem here in this nation.
And finally, a quick question. Is there any long-term wishes or hopes that you have for the BLAIND project? Is there any direction you would like this project to take in the future?
Yeah, ultimately, the project BLAIND would come to a point where we solve most of the problems that a blind person has in regards to them being independent. So we would ultimately want to come to a point where they're completely independent and they can function by themselves on their own schedule without anyone else. And that's like a long-term goal with maybe different devices that are easy to carry on and stuff so that they can completely independently do everything they want.
That's very interesting. Thank you very much, Mihajlo Kovačević from Serbia, one of the leaders of the BLAIND project. Again, it was a pleasure having you here in Ally Techies.
Yeah, it was a pleasure also from my side, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. And also, again, thank you very much to our dear viewers and listeners for having listened to this very insightful interview of Ally Techies, a segment where we discuss the insights of inclusive innovation.